the English barrier. English culture, English women, their values are work first and then family later. Here in Ukraine, a man take control of everything when it comes to relationship. In England, women start to, think about how can I be less feminine, and they want to be more masculine. The gender role situation. Привет, ребята! Welcome back to the Infinity Experience. It's Infinity talking to you from the capital of Ukraine, Kiev. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about the culture difference between England versus Ukraine. Since I am from England and I moved to Ukraine recently and have been here for 8 months, I have noticed a lot of differences in terms of, man and women communication, relationships, and other things you notice on the street. So let's get started. But before we do that, guys, make sure to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. And давай начнем. Now, the first culture difference is when you go on the tube, when you take the tube in Ukraine, people don't talk at all. It's a complete silence. I feel like I am in a cemetery place. You will see people in a very sad faces and their eyes down on the floor. And I asked people why this is the case, and they told me it's just because of people work very hard and life is very difficult, so people don't have energy to communicate on the tube. Whereas in England, if you take the tube, especially on Saturday or Friday night, you will see people are talking, dancing, partying. It's a completely different culture and a set of scenario when you are in the tube. So taking the tube in Ukraine is a bit an experience for me. It's like it's like a meditation. I sit, I close my eyes, and I do meditation inside. The second cultural difference I notice is that the gender role situation. So here in Ukraine, it seems that women, they love to be feminine and they support the idea that they want to be feminine. Whereas in England, women start to, think about how can I be less feminine, and they want to be more masculine and they want to be equal to the man. So you will notice that in England, women and men, when you go out, when you go on date with them, it's more like, everything has to be, 50-50. Everything has to be equal in terms of communication. You don't need to open the door for her. So the masculinity concept in England are not very strong. So the men in England are actually, a lot of them are less masculine in comparison to the men in Ukraine. Whereas I noticed that here in Ukraine, a man take control of everything when it comes to relationship. So a man pays for everything. A man open the door for the girl, and she should go first. And if you are in a restaurant, she should sit first. And if if you are in a car, you have to open the door for her to sit down. I'm talking about, you say, like the good Ukrainian girls, traditional ones. I'm sure there's others who think differently now, but I'm talking about the vast majority of Ukrainian women. They like to be feminine and they like to be treated like a woman, and they expect the man to be strong and they expect him to take charge and responsibility, booking the restaurant, making sure she's okay. If she is ill, he go and take care of her. Honestly, I like the idea here in Ukraine that women embrace the concept of being feminine, and they love to be feminine and they love to take care of themselves. Where in England, things a bit start to go a bit too much, in my opinion. Yet still there are some women in England who like to be feminine. Now the next difference is that women in Ukraine, they tend to get married very early. So I met many girls who are like in their 20s and they already married and have a baby. This is very interesting. In England, this is especially in like London, no way women will go and get married at this early age and start to have babies. So what does that mean? It means the Ukrainian women have their values are different than the English women. So the Ukrainian women, their values are first family, then work, where the English culture, English women, their values are work first and then family later. So you will see that English girls, they don't get married maybe until their late 30s, and maybe they start to have babies after, maybe 32 or 35. And this is actually, let's say, you will see that in the cities of England, big cities. But if you go to, let's say, small towns or villages, there's some situations where women get married very early, but it's rarely happening. In Ukraine, the whole Ukrainian culture is, revolving around the idea of, family. Women prioritize family over work. And in my opinion, I like this. Women put focus on her family and her husband and children. So for her, it's very important to take care of her family. Okay, and but at the same time, I noticed that women are not just they want to have family in Ukraine. They like to work. They want to be successful. They want to learn new skills. So they are excelling not only in let's say making a family, but also they are hard working women. They are able to work. They're able to even establish a business and at the same time manage their family. I don't know how you are doing it, Ukrainian women, but it's amazing. The cigarette stuff, like I noticed when I was walking in Kiev, random people come to me and ask for a cigarette. First time I find very strange because in England, when somebody come to you and ask you for a cigarette, usually you find very rude, or you immediately say no. Like it's rarely that somebody will give you a cigarette if you ask for that. Where here it seems like it's out of question. It's very normal. If somebody asks you for a cigarette and you smoke, then you give them a cigarette. It's very interesting, observation I've seen while I'm living here in Ukraine. The English barrier. So I noticed in Ukraine, like the majority of people don't speak English. I don't understand why. Now I asked many people about it. They said it's because of bad schooling, and the teaching system are not very good, and that's why they didn't learn English very well. So if you decide to come to Ukraine, just make sure you understand some Russian or Ukrainian words. Otherwise, it will be very hard for you to communicate with people there. English is not promoted like very well, but the younger generation now in Ukraine, they started to kind of pay attention to this and they start to speak English, but yet their English are not as good as you think. They speak okay English. So there is a problem with let's say with the language barriers. Where are in England, people speak English, and especially in London, people speak many languages. They speak Spanish, or Chinese or Japanese, and this is because of the also the culture. It's the multicultural situation we have in London, and it makes people more open-minded in London, especially. When you go to London, you will not feel that you are a stranger. You will feel that you already belong to this place, because you are meeting people actually from all over the world living in London. Imagine the whole world is in London, and you can meet all different of nationalities. The relationship between women, the girl and the mother, are very strong in Ukraine. Also, the mother, daughter, and the grandmother. So there is a strong relationship and connection between daughter and mother. So I notice when I go out on a date with the Ukrainian women, their moms always, text them, call them, communicate with them constantly. The concept of the friendship in Ukraine is very strong, especially between women. There's a strong sisterhood between Ukrainian women. So you will notice that women have a lot of let's say they call them girlfriends, where in England it means like a real girlfriends, but in Ukraine it means their best friends. They have a lot of girlfriends, a lot of friends, and for them it's very important friendship. And usually women will tend to have only women as a friend. They won't have man as a friend. That's the kind of the rule here. They don't believe in the idea of the friendship between man and women in Ukraine, most Ukrainian women. Whereas the friendship in let's say in London is not as strong as in Ukraine. But women, English women, can have male friends, can have female friends. It's very normal, and her boyfriend will not get jealous. Whereas in Ukraine, if you have a girlfriend, and if you are a Ukrainian man and you have a girlfriend, and that girlfriend has a male friend, this is going to be a problem. So this is something also I noticed when I met Ukrainian women who are interesting, smart, and they told me they have a boyfriend, but they can't be a friend with me because their boyfriend will get very angry at them. So they try to not to have male friends. They focus only on the let's say the having girlfriends. And I think that's why girls have a strong sisterhood, and the value of friendship, it's very important. Like I met girls that they have friends that started from the childhood, 10 years or 15 years. This is rarely happening in UK, to maintain such a friendship to that long. Now, going back also to the concept of the relationships in London are much shorter than the relationships in Ukraine. If you are dating a good Ukrainian woman, usually the relationship will last 5-10 years. I asked many girls, how long have you been with your girlfriend? How long have you been with your boyfriend? And they said, we started, from high school, and now we have been together for 11 years, 5 years, 10 years. And whereas in London, I'm not sure, to be honest, if there is a real relationship. London is it's not a city designed for relationships, because of people come to London to work and make money, so relationships tend to be very short and not very deep. That's my opinion, because I have dated women from England, and I also dated women from Ukraine, and now I can see the difference. It's my personal opinion. If you have something you want to share, or a different opinion, please share it in the video below and leave a comment, okay? And don't forget to subscribe. The color white, it seems, is the most important color in Ukraine. especially for women. I noticed that a lot of women like to wear white shoes, especially in winter. Like you walk in the street and you see girls with white shoes all the time. White, 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 white. Man, I'm not sure. Very rarely I have seen. But women, they love the color white, and it's very interesting because you live in a country that it snows a lot and it rains a lot. Whereas in England, colors doesn't really matter. You will find people with 100 different colors. Looking different in Ukraine will get you so much attention. So if you are dressing in a very, like, specific way, not as the most people dress, that's for a woman or a man. People will stare at you. People will look at you in the eyes, even if you are let's say, like, you look different, you don't look Ukrainian. Like, for example, when I walk in the street, I get a lot of let's say, kind of attention. Like, people look at me, stares at me in the tube, in the street. Where in England, you feel invisible, no matter how crazy and ridiculous is your dress. You could be wearing a clown, look like a clown, and people will not even look at you, at all. And and the same for women. You could be wearing like, whatever you like in England, and people don't really notice you. Just normal. The idea of in England, they support, let's say, the difference. Being different is something unique. Being crazy, it's part of the London culture. If you buy a flower, let's say, to a Ukrainian woman on the first date, it's very normal. It's a very, very normal, and she will love it. Where if you do that in England, I'm not sure she will find that very interesting. It come across, it's too serious. On the first date, you are coming with a flower, but yet some English women like that. But in my experience, I don't think an English woman like the idea of presenting flowers on the first date. Where in Ukraine, it's very normal. You buy her flower and she will love that, and it doesn't mean you want a serious relationship. It's just an appreciation. To kiss a Ukrainian woman on the first date, it's very, very rarely to happen. So especially if you are dating a good girl, a good Ukrainian girl, she will not kiss you on the first date, but she will give you the sign that she likes you, and maybe you will notice from her body language she wants to be with you, but she will not kiss you on the first date, probably not even the second date, and maybe on the third or the fourth. They like to take more time, and they like to get to know you first, especially if she wants to have a relationship with you. I'm talking about women who are the good Ukrainian women who are normal and who want to have a relationship. Now, in England, it is different. On the first date, sometimes you can kiss her, you can even sleep with her, and it's very normal. There's nothing wrong. There's no judgment with that. This is how the culture, our culture in England, it's up to you. If you are good, on seducing her, she will kiss you, and she will even sleep with you on the first date. And also, some girls in England don't do that, so they wait for the second and third date. But what I want to say is that it's normal in UK that to kiss the girl on the first date, where in Ukraine it's something not usual. It happens, but it's not usual. I notice in Ukraine people are very direct and to the point. They will speak their opinion immediately, and I love this. In England, our English people are very polite, too nice. They use the word sorry, sorry, sorry for every single thing. and they will never ever tell you their true opinion. They might you might say, did you like the food I made for you? And they will say, yes, indeed, it's very delicious, thank you. But deep inside, they maybe don't like it, and they don't like confrontations. So if you have a problem with an English person, he will not tell you directly. He will go, or she will go and send you an email. Where in Ukraine, they are very direct and they speak their opinion, very honest. I love this, very honest and direct. So that's a plus for me. People in Ukraine don't like to sit in the park. I walked, in many parks, and I never seen a Ukrainian person sitting on the park or having a picnic. That is very strange for me. In England, if you are in England, you will walk in every park and you will see people sitting, drinking beer, making picnics, sleeping. It's very normal. So, where in Ukraine, it's something very unusual. There's only one park, I think, in Aplon. People go and sit. This is the only time I saw this situation. I don't know why. If you know, guys, just tell me why Ukrainian people don't like to sit on the grass in the parks. In Ukraine, people don't read. I walk in the streets, I don't see bookshops. And if I see a bookshop, it's not that much of varieties. And there's no other languages like, English books or Chinese books or Japanese books. You are in a tube, no one is reading, everybody on their phones, or just staring at the wall or staring at the floor. Where in England, reading, it's very common. Everyone carry a book in their bag. I do the same. When I wake up in the morning, I take my book, put it in my bag, and then I read in the bus or in the tube. People love reading in UK, whereas in Ukraine, reading is not very promoted. Now, I don't understand why. If you know the reason why, please leave a comment and tell me why people don't like to read in Ukraine. Rich people in Ukraine, they act a bit different in comparison to the rich people in England. So I live in a place actually where there are a lot of rich Ukraine, people. So I see a lot of fancy cars. People wear, very expensive dresses, and with a big logo, with the big marks and brands. And the way they communicate, it's kind of like arrogant, and they kind of look down at the people who don't have money. And I don't like this concept actually here in Ukraine, that there is this um, the difference between the rich and, let's say, the people who don't have as much money as they have those rich people. Whereas in England, rich people actually don't show you that they are rich. They don't like to dress very expensively, and usually they're quite normal. I mean, you could have a conversation with a billionaire in a bus, and you never know that he's a billionaire. I live in a place called Chelsea. If you are from London, you know this place. And in Chelsea are the richest people in the world. They live there, and I meet a lot of people who I had a very normal conversation, and they are very normal. They don't really put this barrier that I am rich, you are not rich, we can't communicate. Their focus on your personality and your skills and how you come across. The last thing is that the rules in Ukraine sometimes can be broken, and it's normal. Where the rules in UK, you can't break the rules. If there is a red light, you have to stop at the red light and wait until it goes green. In Ukraine, sometimes I see people crossing the light when it's red. I even sometimes when I'm trying to cross the road where it says it's allowed for, for me as, for the people to walk. Cars sometimes, they pass you, they don't stop for you. So this is the concept of, having rules but no rules in Ukraine. Where are in England, rules are everything. Everything, is by the rules. If you break the rule, you're gonna get fined, you're gonna have problems. In Ukraine, if you break the rules, I don't know what will happen, but I don't think big things will happen. And that is my last observation about the differences between Ukraine versus England in terms of cultures, relationships, and everything I have noticed so far in my staying here for the last 8 months. If you like this video, guys, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me what you think. If you have been in Ukraine, tell me, have you noticed these observations I have experienced? And if you have a new one, please leave a comment and share it with me. Until next time.